Hey y'all. Okay, final video for this unit, and that's it. We are going to look at section 8.4, translocation. So we've talked about transpiration. So this is where you've really got to get your mind around the two different terms. Translocation deals with the transport of food in a plant. So where transpiration was dealing with the transport of water and mineral ions through the xylem vessels, translocation is the movement of food, mainly sugars, which is in the form of sucrose, and amino acids in the phloem vessels, or the phloem tubes is another way you may see it phrased. So translocation, again, phloem tubes, and it's transporting sugars, mainly sucrose and amino acids. The reason why it's mainly sucrose is because glucose is very reactive. So a plant will convert glucose into sucrose, which is a disaccharide, and it's not as reactive, so it can be easily transportable, and it won't get the urge to, do something kind of silly on its way somewhere else in the plant. That's kind of how I think about it, okay? All right. Now, when we look at translocation, we need to consider two important terms that we use when we talk about plants, and those two terms are referred to as sources and sinks. And at different times of a year, a plant is going to have areas that might be a source at one season and a sink at the other. Now, what a source is where food is made. So think of it. It's like the source of the food. Okay, so it's where something is made. The food, the sugar, the sucrose, or the amino acid made or turned into a protein. Okay, the sink is where it's needed. It's pulling it to that because it needs the energy from those molecules. So it sinks something or takes it away. It's where it's stored or used. All right, so you got to think of it in terms of the seasons, because y'all know plants don't grow as well as in winter. And then y'all know in spring, everything starts blooming, turning green. We see leaves come out. And then in summer, we can have lots of cool harvests with different vegetables or flowers. So let's talk about it. So during winter, when many plants have no leaves, the phloem tubes may transport dissolved sucrose and amino acids from the storage organs to other parts of the plant so that respiration can continue. Okay, but during a growth period, so think like during the spring, okay, everything's starting to bloom, leaves are coming out, the storage organs, which would have been the roots in the winter, so everything's stored in the roots in the winter, now would be the source, and many growing areas of the plants would be the sinks, because we've stored everything in the roots for the winter to get through the long, cold winter. So those roots now become a source, all right? As the leaves are growing and that plant's needing more energy in the leaves, those leaves now become the sinks, all right? But after the plant has grown, so think about we've changed now into the summer, the leaves are photosynthesizing. They're producing large amounts of sugar because they've got the sunshine. We have more sun during the daylight hours. So now those leaves, they become the source. They're creating their own energy. And the roots are going to become the sinks because the leaves are taking care of the job of providing energy. But now we need some energy at the roots to go and absorb other nutrients. So those roots now become the sinks, and they need to store the sucrose as starch until it's needed again. Okay, so there's an image here. If you can follow it, you can pause it here and look at the translocation. Just remember, a source is where it's created, okay, and where the energy is needed, that is the sink. So source is where energy is created, the sink is where energy is needed, and throughout the different seasons or times of the year in a plant's life, the different areas of a plant, the roots, the leaves, even some, we'll look at reproductive parts of a plant, which are the flowers. Those may become different sources and sinks at different times of a plant's life and throughout the year. Okay, and that's pretty much it for translocation. There's a little note here that talks about, if you want to pause it here and just look at the difference between xylem and phloem vessels when we're talking about transpiration and translocation. So again, just try not to get those confused. But that's it for Unit 8. We'll have our test review soon. And guys, y'all are doing great. Good job.